The movie opens in the year 2056 at the orbit of Earth, as the Earth has been slowly inhabitable, but group of scientists have chosen to live on the space station. Rubicon trying to find a way to create a symbiosis with an algae species to solve the shortage of oxygen that has been plaguing the population of the Earth. We see a spacecraft drifting above Earth's orbit. It has been sent by the Nebra Corporation, one of the many corporations ruling Earth. The narrative then introduces us to Hannah and Gavin, who are in the spacecraft, slowly trying to find a visual confirmation on the space station. Rubicon Gavin seems nervous. As Hannah calms him down, they hear from the control room. Their approach is faster than expected as Hannah takes the charge to manually dock. The crew protest and inform her to rely on the AI navigation system, seeing she is in a collision course with the space station's wings. She makes a judgment call and start to manually maneuver the ship, saving them. She then slowly docks the ship at the station as Gavin breathes a breath of relief. Upon their arrival at the Rubicon station, they are greeted by Jensen and Tracy. Hannah inquires about the malfunction on the ship. They explain that the link with their ground control room on Earth was abruptly severed without any warning, which might have caused the issue. Tracy departs to investigate further. Hannah and Gavin are then escorted to their cabin. Hannah takes a moment to video call her sister. Later, they all gather for a party and engage in some games. Following their arrival, Jensen informs them that they are scheduled for a mission the next day. However, their flight path has been altered due to an unexplained fog in the northern hemisphere, about which little is known. The journey will take half a day, so they plan to embark on their mission the following evening. Gavin attempts to research the fog online, but his efforts yield no results. As evening falls, Jensen, Tracy, and Danilo prepare to depart for their mission. Meanwhile, Hannah communicates with her team. The Niabra personnel instruct her to expedite her work, remain inconspicuous, and return via the Ikra ship. Hannah explains that she hasn't yet studied the algae's respiratory cycle. The entire station is teeming with algae, and she needs more time to complete her research. Despite this, Niabra insists that she hasten her work. After some time, Jensen, who has embarked on a mission with his team, reaches out to them. He informs them that they are stranded and unable to land their ship due to a lack of contact with the control room below. Hannah attempts to establish contact from the Rubicon station, but her efforts are met with silence, leading to a tense situation. Jensen reveals that they have only 5 minutes left to land the ship and reach orbit. Tracy urges Hannah to act swiftly, prompting her to send an emergency signal throughout the station. Donning a spacesuit, Hannah exits the station to inspect the signal in the optical unit. Danilo warns that time is running out as they are about to enter the atmosphere. Hannah quickly checks the signal and finds no issues, leading her to believe that the problem lies elsewhere. Suddenly, Jensen cries out that his capsule is overheating. The pressure is causing his sail to rupture, and he is on the verge of incineration. The connection is then severed, and it becomes clear that they have all perished in the fire. Hannah returns to the station and attempts to contact the northern ground control room. However, 2 days passed without any response. Dmitry, grieving the loss of his son, isolates himself in his chamber. In the evening, Hannah brings Dmitry some food and pleads with him to emerge from his seclusion. The algae culture is deteriorating without his care, and his oxygen supply won't last much longer. Dmitry, however, reacts with anger and tells her to leave. Hannah retreats to her own chamber. Meanwhile, Gavin accesses some data on his system and increases the gas pressure in a chamber, intending to end his own life. He locks himself inside. Hannah tries to reach Gavin to show him something, but receives no response. She then witnesses Gavin's suicide attempt through a camera. In a panic, she calls for Dmitry. Dmitry manages to unlock the chamber by reducing the pressure from the outside. He enters the chamber and rescues Gavin, who has fallen unconscious. Dmitry is left bewildered, unable to comprehend why Gavin would suddenly attempt suicide. Following Gavin's suicide attempt, both Hannah and Dmitry leave him in his chamber to recover while they attend to their respective tasks. Unexpectedly, Hannah notices Gavin regaining consciousness and moving in a different direction. Dmitry approaches Gavin to inquire about his well-being. Gavin, however, responds with anger and reveals the reason behind his suicide attempt. Its toxicity is so severe that survival is impossible, and he believes that everyone must have perished by now. Dmitry manages to soothe him and administers an injection, while Hannah mourns for her younger sister. Dmitry reassures her that they are safe in their current location and can remain there indefinitely. This is due to the symbiotic relationship he has established with his son through the algae. They have the ability to exchange gases with the algae. Following this, Hannah sets about preparing an old ISS radio system to establish contact with those below. The laser signal they have been using is unable to penetrate the toxic fog, a barrier the old ISS radio can overcome. However, To set it up, they require a radio antenna signal. Hannah ventures outside the station to retrieve it, guided by Dimitri from within. Upon her return, Hannah attempts to connect the radio signal and establish contact with those below. Her efforts are met with silence, leading to a sense of hopelessness for both of them. Then, Gavin awakens and requests that they open the door. They both go to him. Gavin explains that the fog is the result of a chain reaction involving permafrost gas. The chemical composition of the fog aerosol is highly toxic. He suggests that the gas could have been produced by a power plant or another corporation's chemical weapon. Warnings about this have been issued for years, but they were largely ignored. Now, the consequences of this negligence are evident. The fog has permeated the entire atmosphere. Humans can only survive within an air dome or a bunker. Dimitri explains to him that survival is crucial. The algae system requires at least 3 individuals for gas exchange, and currently, they are the only 3 alive there. Gavin's carbon dioxide output is essential for the system to function. Without it, they too will meet their end. In the evenings, Hannah and Gavin engage in deep conversations and grow closer. 5 weeks pass in the blink of an eye. One day, Dimitri reveals that a month prior, the Nebra Corporation had abruptly altered their contract. They sought to make the system exclusive to their air dome, offering Dimitri a substantial sum in return. He accepted their offer. However, his son Danilo disagreed with this decision. He wanted the algae system to be accessible to the public, and thus he refused to hand everything over to Nebra. One evening, Hannah falls ill. She experiences bouts of vomiting and notices the algae turning a shade of brown. Subsequently, she receives a message from a woman named Esther through the system. Overjoyed, Hannah rouses the others and initiates contact with Esther. Esther reveals that approximately 300 individuals are still alive, taking shelter in a bunker beneath Nebra's headquarters. The fog had appeared suddenly, causing people to develop a cough that led to their deaths one by one. A group of soldiers managed to escort some survivors to the bunker. However, their oxygen supply is projected to last only 3 more weeks. Upon learning that a significant number of people are still alive, Hannah is filled with joy. She proposes to Dimitri that if they can transport the algae culture to the surface, it could provide a much-needed oxygen supply and save many lives. However, the journey to the surface is fraught with risks. Hannah suggests that they manually pilot a ship to the surface, where they would be picked up by Nebra's personnel using a mobile oxygen tank. Dimitri, however, disagrees with this plan, leading to a heated argument with Gavin. Hannah intervenes to calm the situation and urges Dimitri to make a decision. As Hannah departs, she falls ill again. Dimitri takes a blood sample from her for testing. Later that night, Hannah views the last message from her sister Mia and tries to pinpoint the location from which it was sent. Given that Mia is also a soldier and was stationed 5 hours away from the central bunker at Nebra, Hannah believes it's possible that Mia is still alive in Nebra's bunker. The following day, Hannah and Gavin prepare to descend to the surface. They approach Dimitri to collect the algae culture, only to learn from him that the entire station is suffering from an algae sickness. In other words, the algae have turned brown and are unwell. They survive by consuming human urine, which is part of the nutrient cycle of the algae station. The algae behind Hannah have also turned brown. This is because Hannah is pregnant and her body is highly sensitive to the hormones produced by the algae. This has resulted in an elevated level of the HCG hormone in Hannah. Despite being aware of this, Hannah is determined to descend to the surface to save the lives of those below. One evening, Gavin advises Hannah to keep the baby. However, Hannah is unwilling to raise her child in the restrictive environment of the station. The following day, Dimitri consents to their plan, and the trio boards a ship carrying the algae. Unfortunately, the ship's jet fails to function. The jet tank overheats, causing the temperature inside the ship to rise due to the increased pressure. This is because the ship's cooling system is malfunctioning. Hannah attempts to release the tank, but the valve refuses to open. To save their lives, they hastily evacuate the ship. Upon inspection, they discover that the ship's cooling system had ceased functioning 11 hours prior. The overheating tank poses a risk of explosion at any moment. In response, Hannah detaches it from the station and triggers a controlled explosion. They are left feeling helpless and despondent, as they now have no means of escape. Following this, Gavin informs Esther about their predicament. Esther then mentions Icarus, a mission known only to Hannah until now. The objective of Icarus is to steal Dimitri's entire algae lab and transport it to the surface. Hannah discloses her mission to them, revealing that Nebra had anticipated the explosion. This is why they had hastily dispatched Hannah to retrieve the algae. However, Hannah insists that Esther must first speak with a soldier, as this is a military operation. Esther explains that there are no soldiers in the bunker, which only has room for 300 300 individuals. All the soldiers had fulfilled their duty by safely escorting Nibra's personnel and their families to the bunker before sacrificing their own lives outside. They had completed their mission. Nibra's company indirectly sent the soldiers to their deaths, infuriating Hannah and leading her to cancel the mission. One night, Hannah hears a noise while sleeping and discovers Gavin alone in the main algae chamber, tying up Dimitri and loading algae. Hannah manages to persuade Gavin to join her on the ship, and they board it. Gavin initiates the ship's launch, but Hannah interrupts, stops him, and destroys the system. This causes Gavin's plan to fail, and they ignore Nibra's messages. Eventually, Gavin tragically takes his own life. Hannah and Dimitri are deeply saddened, disposing of Gavin's body outside the station. Dimitri reveals that Gavin had advised a minimum of 3 people to maintain the gas exchange process for the algae, but unfortunately, it proved ineffective in keeping Gavin alive. Following the initial events, the narrative fast forwards a few years. Then it turns out to a space station where Hannah's son is seen maturing. He leads a joyful life there with Dimitri and Hannah. One night, Hannah's son awakens. He intercepts communication within the system. The message is from the Shadan campaign, indicating their quest for survival. Subsequently, a view of Earth is displayed. The visual suggests a gradual improvement in the planet's condition. The film concludes on this hopeful note. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.